Okay, we'll knock this out real quick. NFL opener tonight. Um, the defending world champions, the Chiefs, are playing the next greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL. If you listen to anyone in the media, the Lions. Um, I'm not picking the game. I mean, I hope Chiefs kick their ass because I'm tired of hearing about Detroit. But um, all right, I'm just gonna knock this out real quick. I'm gonna probably do like a longer Vikings themed thing, but this is kind of just division by division. Hopefully nothing is. I have made some real bonehead picks last year. I look back on them. I mean, number one was probably picking the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl, which wasn't which maybe that wasn't crazy, but to have Trey Lance be the guy leading them to the Super Bowl, that was crazy. I picked Denver to dethrone the Chiefs in the West, AFC West. That was stupid, and I believe I picked Seattle to have the worst record in the NFL, and they made the playoffs. We're gonna try to do a little better this time. So AFC in the East, everyone's talking about the Jets. I'm, you know, I've been saying it since the day they traded Rodgers to the Jets that he's going to follow in Brett Favre's footsteps and not make the playoffs. Um, and he can go on Hard Knocks and pretend to be a decent human being and a good teammate all he wants. We all know what he really is. And if they have the slightest bit of adversity, they start out 1-3 or 2-2 or something, and things aren't going great. He's gonna immediately be looking for the first teammate or coach or both to throw under the bus. And he wasn't good last year either. Like he wasn't good for the Packers last year. But a lot of people are buying into the hype. I've seen a lot of people picking the Jets to go to the Super Bowl. It's like, why would he? After a decade plus of not going to the Super Bowl with Green Bay, when he had a pretty easy run most of those years, why the hell is he going to suddenly now? Why is he going to suddenly go to the Jets and suddenly lead that team to a Super Bowl that they haven't been in longer than the Vikings have been missing? But so I'm sticking with Buffalo over there. I still think the Bills are very, very good. I think they should be the favorites, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they're mentioned later in the video as a Super Bowl prediction. And I got Miami ahead of the Jets too. I think you keep the quarterback healthy. They got a really good roster. I think they'll be really good. And New England, whatever. New England's not going to be very good. They're clearly at number 4 out of the 4, but you never know. They at least have some defense. My crazy pick is the Steelers. I'm picking the Steelers in the AFC North. I'm a Kenny Pickett believer. He was looking pretty good at the end of last season. And they made some good additions in the offseason, and they're always good. They're always pretty good anyway. Tomlin kept them going. Those last few years with Roethlisberger, even when he wasn't very good anymore. And then they still found a way to, I think, go 9-8 last year. So they're always pretty solid, and I think this year they'll be more than solid. I think they'll get back. And I don't have the Bengals in second. I have the Ravens in second. I think they got the Lamar Jackson stuff behind them now, and if he stays healthy. Remember the Ravens almost beat the Bengals in that playoff game in Cincinnati with backup quarterback. So it's not crazy to think that they could do it. And I got the Bengals in third. I just I just don't see. I don't know. I've remained a doubter of the Bengals this whole run. I think they'll probably be a playoff team, but they don't strike me as a team that's just going to dominate a division year in year out forever. And who did I forget now? The Browns. So, yeah, Browns. They're going to be. They got the full year of Mr. Massage, but they're not going to be, I don't think, a playoff team. And I have a feeling Stefanski's probably going to get fired, which isn't really even his fault. Like he didn't. I mean, I'm sure that he was consulted on trading for Watson, but Cleveland deserves the misery. South, I chickened out last year, didn't pick the Jaguars. I'm going to pick the Jaguars this year because I just don't think anyone else is good enough to be better than them. And then Tennessee in second. I kind of feel like they're at the end of whatever they've been, and we got Colts and Texans. They'll be fighting it out with their rookie quarterbacks for third place, and who knows. West, I'm not going to be dumb again. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. At this point, until someone actually dethrones the Chiefs in that division, I'm not going to pick against the Chiefs. You know, Super Bowl hangover could be a thing, but I mean they've at least played in a conference championship game every year for like 5 years now. So I don't think that's going to be a big thing for them. Plus, they're they've won 2. If you get that third one, that really elevates you. So that's the motivation there. A lot of teams have won 2. Eli Manning won 2, and everyone just mocks his existence for some reason. But you get that third one, which they'll get at some point, maybe this year. But yeah, I don't see anyone being better than them. Chargers kind of are just the Chargers are just what they are. Seems like most of the time, like they had that horrible playoff loss. The coach is probably in real trouble of getting fired if they don't really do something significant this year. I just don't see them being a big time team. A lot of people are always just hyping up Justin Herbert. They got that. Any young quarterback just gets hyped up to an insane degree, but not saying he's bad, but I mean, not every solid young quarterback is a superstar quarterback. Denver probably in third. Sean Payton's a piece of shit, and I hope he fails. I don't even have anything against Russell Wilson, but I hope Sean Payton fails. And Sean Payton didn't win shit after 2009, and of course he didn't win shit when he didn't have a fucking cheating ass bounty program going on. So the idea that he's after over a decade, it's kind of the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Like, why would he succeed now? Why would this be the team that would get it done? And then what? Raiders, they got Jimmy Garoppolo now, a quarterback. They're just kind of nothing. I think they have the home. I think Vegas has the Super Bowl this year, the home Super Bowl, but they will not be playing in the home Super Bowl. Okay, so over to the NFC then. In the East, I'm going to pick Dallas just in the interest of, again, I'm kind of a little bit of a doubter on the Eagles too. I mean, the Eagles were so dominant last year. Like, I guess they could do that again, but they lost. They did lose their 2 coordinators, so that has an effect. They'll have a tougher schedule. I think the Eagles will still be a playoff team, but I'm just picking Dallas. I'm really just doing it just to be different. Sometimes you got to just be different. I think the Giants will still maybe make the playoffs. I thought they'd be good with Daboll. Obviously, if only they had waited an extra year to become good, we might have advanced past the first round of the playoffs. But I think they'll have a similar record to last year and still be pretty good. And probably make the playoffs. The NFC is so wide open. Like you can easily go 9-8 and make the playoffs in the NFC. I don't think you can do that in the AFC. AFC, you might win 11 and not make it. So it's going to be crazy. And then what? Washington's got Sam Howell as their quarterback now. Who knows? They're probably heading for a bad season. We'll skip the North. We'll come back to that last. Go South is a terrible division. I think I'll pick the Falcons just because, buy into the Desmond Ridder thing a little bit, and they've got a decent roster around him. So I think, and I believe they might have had a pretty good shot to win the division last year, if not for that bullshit roughing the passer call they got on the Golden Boy that cost him the game. Yeah, I'll pick them. A lot of people are picking the Saints. I have the Saints in second. Derek Carr is there now. They'll be okay. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they won it. I saw someone picking them to some media picking them to go to the Super Bowl. Like, what are you talking about? But probably just one playoff team out of that division, and it ain't gonna be. It's probably not gonna be Carolina, and Tampa Bay. You're in for a rude awakening, and not just this Sunday, but you're not gonna get all the favorable flags anymore. They're not gonna rig games for you to help the Golden Boy, because the Golden Boy is gone, at least for now. I still don't trust that he's never gonna come back, but at least he's gone for now. This could actually be a somewhat tolerable NFL season without him there. And the West, I kind of would like to pick someone other than the 49ers, but I don't really think anyone can be better than the 49ers, even if Brock Purdy is not as good over a full season as they hope he is. And it's a big risk going with him, because he looked pretty good, but again, very small sample size, then he got hurt. So, and you got Sam Darnold beyond that, but they always seem to figure it out. Like, Kyle Shanahan has a couple of very famous Super Bowl choke jobs on his resume, but he's a pretty good coach. So I'll still stay with the 49ers. I think the Rams will bounce back a little bit, maybe even into the playoffs. If they get a healthy Stafford, although who knows and the Rams were good for a bunch of years before they won the Super Bowl, and then they just fell off the map. Had the worst record, I believe, of any team that ever, of any team that won the Super Bowl the previous year. It was really stunning, and some of it was injuries, some of it was just, they traded away draft picks for years and years, so they couldn't replenish the roster. So if you get guys hurt, then you're screwed. I guess Kupp is hurt, maybe. So, but I don't really believe in Seattle. I think Seattle will be okay. I'm certainly not going to pick them to be terrible, but I'm not going to just anoint them. I think I saw someone pick them for to go to the Super Bowl. Like, people are nuts. And then Jesus, the Cardinals. I mean, they're tanking. They're not even hiding it. They fucking cut their quarterback, their presumed starting quarterback, Colt McCoy. They cut him in the final roster cut down. You don't do that if you have any intention of being a competitive football team. Kyler Murray, I don't know if he's coming back or not, but you don't do that if you have any intention of being a competitive football team. And I hope it doesn't work out for them. I actually saw something today that Caleb Williams said he might not even come out for the draft if he's not liking the situation. That's a shot across the bow right there. He's telling him, not like, I don't want, because the Cardinals have had a lot of issues over the years. Like, why would this guy go there if he's got any other options? And obviously, if you're number one pick, you're going to go to a bad team. But I hope the tanking doesn't work out, because tanking is for losers. I hate it. I hate the tank Nazis. I've railed against the tank Nazis before. Anyway, so that brings us to the NFC North. And yeah, sorry, I'm picking the Vikings to repeat in the NFC North. Sorry. I know. I mean, I'm gonna do a longer Viking thing where I rant about the disrespect, but I've never seen a team denigrated for close wins like the Vikings were last year. And if you just go on talent, like, the Vikings are the most talented team in the division. You can go position by position. They're not going to be number one in everything, but all the narratives that are being used against this team are just wrong. They've been wrong. They were wrong last year. Yeah, they didn't win in the playoffs. A lot of good teams don't win in the playoffs. It's not automatic. It's a single elimination shit. You might lose a playoff game. A 15-1 Packer team lost their opening playoff game at home. That doesn't mean that they weren't good during the season. That doesn't mean they were frauds. But I mean, that's the number one thing. I hear that word in conjunction with the 2022 Vikings. I stopped listening to the argument because it's a fake argument. It's bullshit. Now, I don't expect them to win 13 games again. I mean, they've only won that many games in the history of the franchise a few times and never back to back. I mean, hell, they haven't even, this would be they're trying to become the first Vikings team to even make the playoffs in back to back years in over a decade. And I believe that was 08-09, and that's when they also won the divisions both years. But they're not guaranteed anything, but they are the best team. And if Brian Flores is better than Ed Donatell, which if he's not, I'm just giving up ever thinking anything about football again in my life. There's no possible way that Brian Flores is not a far better coach for this team than Ed Donatell was last year. And they won 13 games with maybe the worst defense in the history of the franchise, or certainly one of the worst. And we saw it in the playoffs. People want to talk about 4th and 8. Well, guess what? 4th and 8 isn't a factor if we could fucking stop Daniel Jones. So I don't expect them to win 13 games. I do have them on 10-7. And I also don't agree with this crap about how the schedule is just incredibly tough. This ranked as like the 14th hardest or something like that. It's middle of the pack. They had a pretty tough schedule last year. They played a bunch of teams last year that were better than we expected them to be. Now, some of them fell off a little bit after we played them, but it was still a tougher schedule than people thought. Yeah, there's like the 4 games that everyone's freaking out about because we got to play the Eagles, the Chiefs, the 49ers, and the Bengals. But we're not going to lose all those games. I mean, a year ago, everyone's like, oh my God, we have to go to Buffalo. What are we going to do? Well, we went and beat Buffalo. So I don't expect us to just be run over by those 4 teams. Maybe the Eagles. I'm not looking forward to that Thursday night game. We are being set up for so much failure on that one. Short week, right off the bat, and you have to go to Philly on a Thursday night for their home opener. That's they're setting us up for that. I might not even watch that game. It's gonna be awful. But what if we win that one? But yeah, I think the Vikings. I think it'll be a classic example of might even be a better team, certainly on defense, but they have a worse record. But I still think they'll be good enough to win the division. And yeah, sorry, I don't think the Detroit Lions are the second coming of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys. I don't get the hype. Is it just that they love Dan Campbell, the fucking meathead, the self-promoting meathead Dan Campbell so much? I don't get it. They were 9-8 last year. They finished nicely. What were they, like 6-1 or something like that, or 7? They had a really very good record over the last half of the season. And then they knocked out the Packers, or beat the Packers in a game that they didn't need, but that was nice too. I think the Lions will be okay. I wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoffs, but you have people. It's been 6 months of people talking them up as like the NFC North runs through Detroit. No, it fucking doesn't. They haven't done shit. Why is their 9-8 so much better than our 13-4? I don't understand it, unless it's just the media hatred of Kirk Cousins and people just could not accept that a Kirk Cousins-led team had such a very good season. In large part because of him. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, they've got weapons, but they've got a terrible defense, and they didn't hire Brian Flores to fix it. So I'm sorry, I don't get it. Wouldn't shock me if they're a decent team or even a playoff team, but they're not gonna contend for a Super Bowl. I don't know where this is coming from. And if we've had it for 6 months, it's like hive mind mentality. Why are we hearing all this shit about Detroit? This is madness. I mean, I've never seen a team that didn't make the playoffs hyped up like this. basically from the end of last season. So I don't know. Go Chiefs tonight. And third place I got the Packers. I'm gonna say right now, all us Vikings fans want to dump the dirt on the graves of the Green Bay Packers for now and forever. I don't think Jordan Love is going to be terrible. I think he'll be okay. My example is it's kind of like when the 49ers went from Joe Montana to Steve Young, and then they went to Jeff Garcia, who was a pretty good quarterback, not nearly at the level of the previous two guys, but he was still a pretty solid quarterback. I kind of think Jordan Love is going to be something in that range. Maybe not even right away. We'll see. There's been good and bad buzz on him coming into the season, but I don't think Green Bay will be a playoff team. It wouldn't shock me if they maybe snuck out a wild card. They're probably glad just to have Aaron Rodgers out of there too. But I don't want to. If Jordan Love is terrible, if he is an absolute bust of epic proportions, I will be front of the line laughing at the Packers for it. But I don't quite think that's gonna transpire. I think he's gonna be okay. He might even be a little better than okay. But I don't think they're gonna retake the division or anything. And I also don't think the Bears are going to be that awful. I think they'll be in last place, but I don't think they're going to be just a total disaster. I think they'll be like a 6, maybe even a 7-win team. I think they'll be okay. I don't think Justin Fields is a quarterback, but he's a really good runner, and he's really good at that. And saw it in games last year that he can get loose and really get going. If you can't stop him that way, it doesn't really matter if he's not a good quarterback. So long term, I don't think that's going to do much for the Bears. I think the Bears should have probably kept their draft pick and taken the quarterback, taking a real quarterback. But they've added some players. I don't think the Bears are going to be horrible. So I think the division overall is going to be a lot tougher this year. I mean, we lost we swept the Bears, and then we split with the Lions and Packers. I could see us maybe dropping an extra game in there, to one of those teams. Of course, we got the Lions late in the season for the 2 games. It would be hilarious if we get to those late season games and the Vikings have run away with the division and the Lions are also Rams again. Just I can't stand the overhype. I cannot stand the overhype on the Detroit Lions. It's just nauseating. So, all right. Well, this video's already gone way longer than I anticipated it. So I'll skip the actual playoff teams, or maybe I'll do the playoff teams. I did officially pick on my world famous blog. What did I have? So I said who the division winners are. The AFC wildcards, I think I had Dolphins, Ravens, Bengals. In the NFC, I had Eagles, Giants, and I think I picked the Rams, just in the interest of being kind of creative. And then my Super Bowl pick, I'm doubling down. I picked the Bills last year. I'm picking the Bills this year. I think the Bills, they had some stuff happen to them last year that maybe knocked them down, maybe knocked them off course. But and we thought maybe the whole Damar Hamlin thing was going to be motivating for them to get it, and then it actually had the other opposite effect, where it kind of took it out of them. So I think I'm going with the Bills. It'd be so easy it'd be the easiest thing in the world to just say Chiefs are going to repeat. I think if any team in the last, I don't know, we haven't had a repeat winner in almost 20 years. If any team is going to repeat, it'll be the Chiefs. There will be no shock whatsoever if the Chiefs repeat. But got to be different. Got to try to be a little different with the picks. So I'm going back in with Buffalo because if it's not the Chiefs, Buffalo's still the best team because I don't think, again, I think the Bengals are going to fall back a little bit. Steelers, I don't think are quite ready. Jaguars, I don't think are quite ready. You know, Dolphins probably aren't quite ready. It's like there aren't a lot of obvious options. So Bills, and I think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl as well. Who are they going to play? I'm also being kind of just different for the sake of being different. I'm picking Dallas because everyone's like, well, it's either going to be Philadelphia or San Francisco. I just, again, I don't know if we can trust San Francisco. And with Philly, the Super Bowl loser curse. I mean, that's knocked back every team except for, I think, one Patriots team. Going back, 30 years almost. Like the Super Bowl loser does not get back to that same level. And I don't think the Eagles will get back there. And I kind of have vowed never to pick the Vikings again. I don't. So, and there's nobody else that I'm not picking the Detroit Lions to go to the Super Bowl. Sorry. So yeah, I'll pick Dallas just to be weird. And there's some motivation there because Dak Prescott, I think he might be a free agent to be after the season. And they're always talented. I mean, fuck, they won a playoff game last year, and they almost won in San Francisco. So it's not like crazy talked that they can contend. And I just want to be different. I'm an individualist, just like everybody else. So yeah, Bills over Cowboys. I think the Bills will avenge 2 of their 4 Super Bowl losses and get their first win. And so that's all I got to say about that. I'll probably do a bigger Vikings related one where I rant some more about the disrespect that has gnawed at me for 6 months and will continue to gnaw at me.